Okay. Um, Hello, back again. First question I'll ask you, what is your name?
Hello, my name is Roshelle Simpson.
Okay. And where are you from?
I am from Southern California. I'm in Irvine, so I'm a little south of LA.
Okay, that's cool. And what is your occupation?
I'm a voice actor, so I talk to myself in a small box most of the day.
Okay. Um, and then I was gonna also ask, because I tried to research you a little bit. It does say that you're also a singer.
I do a little bit of singing, yeah, mostly like I don't do like backing vocals or anything like that on albums, but yeah, I sing too.
Okay. And I just want to get into, obviously, because everyone has heard of voice acting per se, but from the outside looking in, I don't think most people know exactly like the ins and outs of what voice acting is, like the day to day. So like what do you do as a voice actor per se?
Yeah.
Like what does your average day look like?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because people really they're not aware of everything that goes into it. You know, they think maybe their first thought is animation and
Yes, that's my first thought.
yeah, and then maybe they'll think of like, oh, and commercials, but voice acting is like everywhere. So on the daily, I am in here very often, a very small 4x4 space, and I audition like almost constantly.
Okay.
And so a lot of what you do is just like finding, you're finding the right job. But then you also do direct marketing. So you find clients that maybe it's not as glamorous as animation, but you do like messages on hold and you do like e-learning or there's narrating audiobooks. There's so many things that voice actors can do, and some of them specialize in just one area. So take audio description, for example. That's something a lot of people aren't aware of, but for people with disabilities or who have problems with their vision, audio description describes what's happening in the scene, and you can turn it on, like, on Netflix or on HBO or whatever you're watching. So yeah, there are a ton of genres.
Okay. And what does what does your average day look like as far as like do you always record like in the space that you have, or do you have to go to different places or different companies, or is it mostly remote?
For the most part, it is remote. The only time I
Okay.
have to go in studio is if a client requests that. So typically well, at least here, because I'm in California, oftentimes those studios are in LA. So that's when, I have to go. But there are certain clients that are just very particular about it and they want it there. Or if it's something that might be on, Netflix or Disney Plus, and they have, of course, their own studio.
Okay. Um, and then my next question would be what do you need to become a voice actor as far as like, well, just anything, maybe just equipment. I was unaware that there was a lot of remote. I thought it was a lot of physically going in the studios, but equipment or even like education background. Like how did you get your start in voice acting?
Yeah, that's such a loaded question. I feel, you know what, everybody has a different start, I'll say that. And there are a lot of resources out there. It can be like almost overwhelming as to like where you can start. But the basics are number one, I always recommend that people start with a little bit of coaching or like group classes just so they can hear what other people do. They can get a feel of whether or not they even like it. Some people find that they don't like being put on the spot or they're not really, maybe they're awkward in performing. And, sometimes you can get over that and sometimes it's really hard to get over that hump. So first and foremost, I say that and find out, like, do you have potential?
Okay.
You know, from there, like building a little bit of it, you don't have to get a booth like this right off the bat. Most people set up in their closets or just find a space, and you have to have a deadened space. So, whether you are putting blankets up on the walls or sound panels or whatever you're using just to make sure that your sound is not bouncing off of everywhere, and having a quality microphone. learning how to use your DAW, how to edit and that kind of stuff. It's all, especially since the pandemic, which is I actually kind of started around then. Um, you have to do so much of the work yourself. So you've got to be familiar with even, the editing and stuff too.
Okay. Um, and then for the coaching and things, did you have to go to school at all?
No, I actually, well, I took classes online. So, to my knowledge, although I will say I believe Joan Baker of Sovas is teaching at a university. But I didn't like go to a particular voice acting school, if you will, like where you
Okay.
get a degree, but I
But
went
are
to,
there voice acting schools?
yeah, so there's one they're all online now, called Del Mar. That's kind of where I first started.
Okay.
And then from there it was just there are like so many I guess you can call them like voice acting schools where they just do like online classes and they're like 6 weeks at a time or sometimes it's just a weekend workshop. So I've done I don't know how many of those. A lot
Okay.
of them. Actually, I did one yesterday because I feel like no matter where you are in your career, you can always level up. You can always
That's
study.
true.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much does a class generally cost, or does it vary a lot by the teacher or institution?
It absolutely varies. Anywhere from, I mean, like you can do one class for say $40 and still get a great class, all the way up to like hundreds of dollars for maybe just that session, or it really, really varies. It's all over the place. I mean, there are some, very well-known voice actors that offer some one-on-one coaching, and sometimes they're charging $300 to $500 for an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's is that something you would ever think about doing? I never thought about that, like being a voice actor and then teaching voice acting. Is that something you would ever think about doing?
Personally, I don't think that I would coach only because there are so many great coaches, and then there are so many coaches that maybe are like I guess I don't want to say like not great, like everybody has their strength, but there are just so many out there that I just want to do the acting.
Okay. It's a huge market. And then how difficult would you say, maybe like on a scale of 10, was it to officially become a voice actor or go through that training or classes?
It's I can't even say it's like difficult, I guess, to go through the classes. I'm gonna put this, sorry, my water bottle. It's like reverberating the sound from
So it's fine.
I'm like, this is driving me nuts. I just have to put it down. Anyway, it's not at all difficult. I mean, there are so many things out there that you can do. Not difficult, I guess, to take the classes and build your stuff. The difficult part is to really be um, actively marketing yourself and working. It's really, really hard for voice actors to find consistent work. I think that's also, it's just
Okay.
people don't know that, or I guess there's kind of the assumption that like the work is overflowing all the time, but you have to consistently put yourself out there.
And um when it comes to putting yourself out there, like what would be some good ways to put yourself out there? Say you've done some training and you're like comfortable getting out there. Where would you go to do that?
I would say that there it, each person like individually kind of thinking of their strengths and what they really like to do. So if you're the type of person that loves like to be on camera and you like to make reels, go to Instagram and TikTok and just put stuff out there, as often as you can or want to. For me, I am more I like to write a lot more than I like to, make reels. I have all these ideas that I never do for reels. So I'm on LinkedIn, which is surprisingly, that's right, we met there.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
you're very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I tend to be, and there's a huge voice acting community there. Everyone's very supportive. I have a Clubhouse room if you've heard of Clubhouse or if your
Mhm.
listeners. Yeah, that's also a great way to just kind of, put yourself out there and get connected to people in the community, and you just let it evolve.
Okay. So this sounds like, because this is the first time I've talked to someone about their job who it's more independent per se. Most of the jobs I talked to before were regular, like you apply, you find it on Indeed or whatever it may be, and it's just like regular like that. But this sounds more of like you have to actively go out and get it and connect with people to find the opportunity. And
Yeah.
and is there do you get a lot of maybe jobs or gigs from just networking and talking to people and just happening to meet people?
Yeah, that's really, I feel like a lot of the moves that I've made, and sometimes it's not even like necessarily in that part about like paid work, but like just collaborating to increase your creativity and to constantly work with people, because it does often lead to another job or an agent or something. So, it's absolutely different from being like in an office setting or somewhere where you just, you show up and you clock in and you clock out and you get your paycheck every
Right.
2 weeks. So, yeah, being a freelancer is a different game.
And then um how much does a voice actor generally make, even though I know it would probably vary a lot based on what you're saying.
Definitely. It's hard to say. I mean, there have been some, oh my goodness, just the words are escaping me. But yeah, there have been like some data gathered that say like, the average voice actor makes like $8,000 a year or something. But
That doesn't sound right.
I know, right? So it doesn't take into account, I think, how many people are doing it on the side, where they're just, maybe they have their full-time job and then, are voice acting in the evenings or whenever they have free time kind of thing,
Okay.
versus the people that are full-time. So it really, obviously, it can vary from 8,000 to, several million.
Okay. So that doesn't sound right. 8,000 for full
Exactly.
time.
I can't answer that question.
Okay. So there's a lot of variable, and it's really just dependent on how much work you're willing to put into it and time and all of that. So okay. Um and then I want to ask you, what inspired you to start voice acting? Because I know before that I did see that you were in the culinary world in some way.
Yeah, yeah, I was a personal chef in the culinary field for about 10 years. So,
Wow. That's cool.
yeah, it was fun. It's definitely a jump, I guess, but it's all creative fields. I guess I had always been like in choirs and sang a lot, and I loved doing that kind of thing. And I just never really knew that it was something I could pursue, um, for, various reasons. But eventually we got to a point where I was like, well, you know what? I think I really want to like give this a shot. I love doing it. I'm just going to take a class and see if it's as fun as I think it'll be. And it totally was. So, yeah, it just kind of evolved from there. I stuck with my chef job part-time for a little while, and then I quit it like early last year. So been full-time voice acting for a little over a year now.
Congratulations. That's really cool. Um, and then okay. I'll say, what are three things that you like the most about your job?
Three things. Oh, well, number one, that I get to play. Like every day I get to do something silly. Um, even if I'm the only person in my booth laughing at myself.
Okay.
Um, I would say second, like the people that I have met, it's been incredible. Just, I have met some of the most, like, gosh, highly educated and funny and interesting people I think I've ever met in my life through voice acting. And a lot of them, like, through LinkedIn and Clubhouse. So, yeah, that's number two. And let's see, what is the number three? I think I just creating, being able to just, coming up with characters and finding different ways to use it. So, you play in auditions, but then taking a character and maybe writing a little blurb about it or something and really fleshing it out. I love that too.
Okay. And then what are three things that you dislike the most about
Social media,
it?
number one. Um, oh yeah, I already said I being on socials, that's why I prefer LinkedIn, I guess, I like writing. Number two, I don't love editing. That's not fun for me either. Um, and
Like
God,
audio editing or video editing or both?
well, I guess I don't do as much of the video, but yeah, the audio editing can be kind of a slog sometimes. So, um, and gosh, it's hard to think of things that I don't like about it, but I guess, um,
I mean, there's nothing else.
yeah,
That's fine.
that's what I can think of right now.
Okay, that's fine. Um, and I would say, what are do you think some qualities that make you good at what you do?
I would say, and I wrote something about this recently. It's just I really like to talk to people and observe, and I have a really big family, so I guess I've just always been kind of like like I like to look at things with a bird's eye view and really really picking up on character traits and qualities, like what really makes somebody connect to another person. And I think that's just become an asset because I use it in my reads and in my characters and in my marketing and everything else. I would say that's probably number one.
And let me see, I'm running out of questions here. But what are what are the three most important qualities that you think someone should have to be a voice actor?
Um, Number one, humility is probably the biggest thing. You've got to know it's not about look at me, I'm performing, I want to be on the stage, you have to serve a story and you have to tell somebody else's story, and it might not have anything to do with you, but you have to do your best to really bring life to that character, or even if it's e-learning or if it's whatever, it's serving a purpose. I would say number two, you've got to let go fear, like just being kind of fearless and going out there and doing you.
Mhm. Putting yourself out there a lot.
Yeah, just without being afraid of, judgment. And I would say number three, tenacity and consistence.
Okay. Um, and this could just be my last question because I ran out of questions moving pretty fast. Um, if you could have a dream, I guess, yes, a dream like job, or I'm trying to find a way to word it because I don't know how to word, I guess,
Yeah.
a dream gig or a dream like acting role, what would it be?
Well, that's an easy one. DreamWorks. DreamWorks is my dream.
Okay.
Anything DreamWorks. Well, I have two kids, so um we love DreamWorks movies. I think that they've been like my favorites as far as like animated films go. And animation is definitely like what I have the most fun doing. Um and the movies that they've had, like, Trolls, for instance. I love Trolls 2. I don't know if that was something that you watched.
I have. I was gonna ask like, what are the DreamWorks movies? Because I get them. I get Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks confused a lot.
Yeah, well, so Disney, they have all their, I feel like all the princessy ones, but then on DreamWorks side, they have Trolls, even though she's technically a queen now, actually. But anyway, there's Trolls, the Puss in Boots, Shrek, Madagascar.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I like those.
Kung Fu Panda, Jack Black, gotta love him.
Okay,
Yes, so a lot of those, I just find that the content in it is it's like meaty, but it's also hilarious.
I agree. Which one is that? I think it's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That one's doing really good. I've actually heard a lot of my friends talking about like you should go see it, and I'm like surprised. I'm like we're all like 20 something, but I
No,
mean if it's
you
good, it's
totally
good.
should. Okay, I'm like 30 something. It's definitely, I think that's another, why I love DreamWorks so much is their stuff, like it's so timeless. I mean, I remember I must have been 18 or 19 at the time when I saw the third Madagascar in theaters with some friends, and I was kind of thinking like, I haven't watched an animated film in a really long time. Like, why are we? And I was like crying laughing. It was so, it's just, it can reach like any audience.
I think the last one I watched, I don't know if this is who made it. It was The Bad Guys.
Oh, you know what? I don't remember who made the bad guys either. Now I want to look it up.
Sounds like it, directed by Pierre. I don't know. I don't
Um,
know, but that one was.
that
Oh
was
no,
DreamWorks.
it's DreamWorks.
It is DreamWorks, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay,
Yeah.
that was
No,
really good.
it
Um,
was. That was funny too.
all right. Well, I'm all out of questions. Um, thank you for talking to me about it. That was very interesting and nice to talk to you and for the first time. Um, do you have anything that you would like to add at all?
I just thank you so much for asking me to be on. I thank you for your interest. I don't know, do you often like interview people in the entertainment field?
This is my first one, actually.
Oh, cool. So just to like, I guess different vocations in general.
Yes. I want to do more in the entertainment field, but this is my first one, and you're also the first person I interviewed that I have never met before. So this is like dipping my toe in a little bit in that. But the other people I've interviewed, one was he worked in higher education. One he worked with Equinox, which is like a cloud software company.
Hmm.
One was going to be a high school teacher. One was my friend. He was going to the Peace Corps, and just I want to get all around and just what it's really just drawing me like whatever I think in my head like that would be interesting to learn about because I don't know anything about it, and I just reach out and just like, hey, you want to talk about it? You know, I'm sure I'm not the only person who's interested. Um, and I
Yeah.
just want to get like my end goal is to have like a website and just have it like archived like categories like entertainment, health, education, and just have them all listed in and categorized, so if you're looking to find out about a certain job you could just go and look for
That's awesome. Definitely, definitely do that. I feel like that should be like a requirement before you
it.
just finding, because there's so many things out there, and I'm like proof that you don't even have to stick to just the one. You can have a solid decade out of a career and then decide that you want to try something else. So
Right, and personal shift sounds really fun.
it was really fun. It was a good job, but it was a lot of work. And it was not that I mind a lot of work. I love a lot of work, but as far as working nights and weekends and things when you're a parent, it's really hard to do.
Okay. All right. Well, whoever is there, thank you for listening. Um, thank you, Miss Rochelle Simpson, for coming on. And that's it. Also check her out. Maybe I can put like a link or something to like your information. But yeah, peace out.